A very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News. I'm Amina Mustafa. Here's a look at your headlines. Efforts underway to douse a wildfire in Ravanelli Reserve. 2 women arrested in connection to the sale of a 6-month-old infant. Wild elephant deaths report from 4 areas. Treasure hunters look at a temple in Weldawire. Obama says he's authorized target airstrikes in Iraq. Over 600 acres of land has been destroyed in a fire erupted in Ravanelli Reserve located in Eller Police Division. According to the police, the fire which erupted last evening has not been doused as yet.
The police, the army and area residents have been working together to douse the fire. Assistant Director of the Badulla District Disaster Management Centre, EML Uday Kumar, stated that steps have been taken to douse the fire by this evening. Our correspondent in the area also noted that the drought has dried up water sources in the Ravanelli area. The fire, which erupted at around 12 noon in the Bologolla Mountain Reserve in the Madulla Divisional Secretariat area in Monaragala, has been doused. Our correspondent in the area notes that around 50 acres of land have been destroyed in the reserve. The fire was doused with the assistance of the army, police and area residents. A fire which erupted in the Millakale area in Monaragala has also been doused. The Monaragala District Disaster Management Centre notes that around 40 acres of forest land have been destroyed due to the fire. The fire also destroyed valuable medical plants as well as valuable timber.
The Sapukaskanda police arrested 2 women in connection to the sale of a 6-month-old infant.
The infant's mother and the woman who attempted to purchase the child were arrested by the police. Police investigations revealed that the infant's mother had attempted to sell the infant for a sum of 30,000 rupees. The arrested suspects will be produced before the Mahara Magistrates Court today. The investigation into the incident is being spearheaded by the Sapukaskanda police.
With the spread of the Ebola virus being reported, Newsfirst spoke to the director of the epidemiological unit of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Pabba Paliwandana, with regard to the impact of the virus would have on Sri Lanka.
Ebola hemorrhagic fever has been there since 1976. It was first reported in Congo, that is one of the countries in the African region. It has been spread over to several other countries. Today, it has been reported from Sierra Leone, Guinea, and from Liberia. So the risk is now this could be transmitted through blood and through body secretions. And anyway, the chances of getting this infection into our country is relatively low. But we have taken precautions at the airport to report about those travelers who are coming from those 3 countries. And then be vigilant about them. Up to now, there had been no such passengers reached our country from those 3 countries. And then in the hospitals, we have a mechanism to manage if such a patient arrives in our health facilities.
4 wild elephant deaths have been reported from several areas in the recent past.
A wild elephant was shot dead in the Bulugolla paddylands in the Mandadome area in Galgamua. According to wildlife officials, the 20-year-old elephant was shot dead this morning. One suspect has been arrested in connection to the incident and is due to be produced before the Galgamua Magistrates Court today. The police also took into custody the firearm used to kill the elephant. The carcass of an elephant calf was discovered in the Hulangnuge area in Lahugala. The calf is believed to have died after consuming a locally used explosive known as hakkapatas. Area residents noted that they had informed the wildlife officials several days ago that the calf has been suffering from injuries. They went on to note that officials did not take steps to treat the elephant calf. The carcass of a tusker who died in the Ilukpelle area in Hambantota 3 days ago has been discovered. Wildlife officers who discovered the carcass based on a tip-off notes that the cause of the death is a gunshot wound. The tusker is believed to be 25 to 30 years old. A wild elephant who was rescued from an agrarian well on the 5th of this month in the Nikavarati area has also died. A team of wildlife officials from the northwestern province rescued the elephant. However, this morning it was reported that the elephant that was due to be transported to a different location had died.
A Buddha statue of the Rakkinda Kanda Purana Rajamaha Vihara in Ella Vellavaya has been destroyed by treasure hunters. An individual was murdered in the Pamunugama police division area in Pubudugama, according to the police media spokesman's office. A murder was committed this morning using a cement block.
The deceased has been identified as a 50-year-old. The victim was initially admitted to the Ragama Teaching Hospital before he succumbed to his injuries. The magisterial inquiry was conducted by Vattala Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna. According to the police media spokesperson's office, investigations have been launched to ascertain the identity of the individuals as well as to arrest the perpetrators connected to the murder.
A mobile service was held in Godagamo area in Bibila yesterday. Under the patronage of Wildlife Resources Convention, Minister Vijit Vijayamuni Soisa.
මේ අපේ ජනතාවට අලුත් දේවල් මොකක්ද අලුත් දේ?
This is a new thing for our people. No matter how much money we have, it is pointless. Being wealthy and rich are two different things. People who prepare statistics do not understand this. The main argument of the UNP is bringing forward that poverty is at 20%. However, there is no real difference between the poor and the rich.
හැබැයි දුප්පත්කමයි පොහොසත්කමයි අතරේ තියෙන වෙනස දන්නේ නැහැ. පොහොසතෙකුට
A Buddha statue of the Rakkinda Kanda Purana Rajamaha Vihara in Ella Vellavaya has been destroyed by treasure hunters. Today marks the 22nd death anniversary of the late Lieutenant General Denzin Kubbe Kadua. A memorial event was held in Anuradhapura this morning.
The memorial event was attended by a number of distinguished guests, including relatives of the late Lieutenant General Denzil Kobak Hadua. Those gathered offered floral tributes to the statue of the fallen war hero. The event was organized by the commander and staff of the Sri Lanka Armoured Corps training camp in Anuradhapura.
Malaysia State Investment Fund will pay 1.4 billion ringgit to take troubled Malaysian airline system private. The airline said today, paving the way for complete overhaul of the loss-making operations following two devastating jetliner disasters this year.
MAS said in a statement after suspending its shares that Khazanah Nasional will offer 27 cents for each share in the company it does not own, amounting to 1.38 billion ringgit, a 12.5% premium to the closing share price yesterday. The move had been expected after the national carrier lost 2 airplanes this year, sparking a slump in bookings that has hurt its already struggling operations amid intense competition from budget Asian airlines. Khazanah, which owned 69.37% of MAS, said it expected to give more details of the planned restructuring by the end of August after it had secured approval from shareholders. Sources involved in the discussion have told that the airline and its key stakeholders are in talks with banks for a strategic overhaul that could include the partial sale of its engineering unit and an upgrade of its aging fleet. Khazanah said it will need cooperation from all parties to undertake the restructuring, covering the airline's operations, business model, finances, staff and the regulatory environment.
US President Barack Obama said yesterday he has authorized airstrikes against Islamist militants in Iraq to protect American personnel and launched humanitarian assistance to prevent a genocide of members of a religious minority who have fled their homes.
Today I authorized 2 operations in Iraq. Targeted airstrikes to protect our American personnel and a humanitarian effort to help save thousands of Iraqi civilians who are trapped on a mountain without food and water and facing almost certain death. Let me explain the actions we're taking and why. I said in June, as the terrorist group ISIL began an advance across Iraq, that the United States would be prepared to take targeted military action in Iraq if and when we determined that the situation required it. In recent days, these terrorists have continued to move across Iraq and have neared the city of Erbil, where American diplomats and civilians serve at our consulate and American military personnel advise Iraqi forces. To stop the advance on Erbil, I've directed our military to take targeted strikes against ISIL terrorist convoys should they move toward the city. We intend to stay vigilant and take action if these terrorist forces threaten our personnel or facilities anywhere in Iraq.
Russia is imposing a full embargo on food imports from the EU, US and some other Western countries in response to sanctions over Ukraine. Russia announced plans to ban fruit, vegetables, meat, fish, milk and dairy products from the United States, the European Union, Australia, Canada and Norway for 1 year with immediate effect.
Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev told a government meeting the decision follows a decree signed by President Vladimir Putin ordering the government to ban or limit food imports from countries that impose sanctions on Moscow for its efforts of rebels in eastern Ukraine and the annexation of Crimea. Retail and banking shares led broad declines on Russian markets yesterday after the announcement to plug a budget gap by diverting private pension fund contributions. But people shopping at a supermarket in the capital city said they were not concerned by the retaliatory sanctions introduced by the Kremlin. Vladimir Ruzanov, head of public relations for a leading Russian food retailer, said retailers would find alternative sources for the range of products they provided. Despite a sign of support from people in the capital, the sanctions are likely to add a raft of problems already besetting the Russian economy. Despite an economic slowdown expected by analysts to produce growth of just 0.3% this year, the central bank has already hiked interest rates 3 times in recent months in an attempt to rein in high inflation.
Day 3 of the first test match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan is currently underway at the Galle International Stadium.
It augurs well.
Kaushal Silva and Kumar Sangakkara took to the crease to commence the Sri Lankan innings for the day. Kaushal Silva went to score his 6th test half-century as he paired up with Kumar Sangakkara to put on a partnership of 120 runs for the 2nd wicket.
Pulls it away. Yeah, half-century, number 6 for Kaushal Silva. Another.
Kumar Sangakkara scored his 51st test half-century. Kaushal Silva's wicket fell as the first for the day when he was caught behind wicket for 64 runs. Mahala Jayawardene, who came into the field to replace Silva, was given a warm welcome from the Sri Lankan cricket fans. Pakistan, who won the toss and elected to bat first, were all out for a mammoth score of 451 runs.
Thank you, Ramesh. Well, that's a lovely shot by Sangakkara. He'll split the game towards covers. Down the track he comes. That's gone. Not all the way. It bounces a few times.
And that's a wrap of Lunchtime News Bulletin for the day. It was an absolute pleasure having you with us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Amina Mustafa. Have a safe day.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.